Okay, welcome everyone in the next session of Introduction of Land Use and Transportation. The title of this session is Regional Land Use and Transportation Concept. What is basically regional land use concept? Regional land use concept is actually a process which help or guide that how region will grow. Okay, how the region will grow or develop. Okay. So regional land use planning is actually or basically the important tool for the actors and stakeholder in the decision making process. What we do actually in the regional land use and transport concept, the first point or the first agenda of the today's session would be that how we can assess the land use and its potential, number one. The second point would be selecting the land use option. What is selecting the land use option? We need to choose the best land use option among among the available option while based on the assessment. And so the second point is the best land use option. Selection of best land use option. While the third point is that how we can balance what the different capabilities such as regional policies, special policies, transport policies, land use policies, and so on. And in the last, who are the actor? The inhabitants, the stakeholder. Those are the transportation provider. Uh, and all those points are actually connecting with the vision through which we describe a goal that how that specific land parcel will be developed, how it will be managed, and what kind of land use as well as transportation activities and services will be provided. Okay, so this is the today theme of the today session. In the today session, we have three basic aspects. The first one is related to the spatial structure. The second one is related to the transportation supply. And the third one we call the TDM. How all of them are connected. First of all, we need to understand that spatial structure in land use and in transportation is actually a combination of what? Of the governance practices plus strategies with regard to or with to regulate the location regulate location plus timing and development. So this is special structure or special structure in the land use, which is in transportation connected with the transit oriented development, which we call TUD. What kind of functional and social services will be used, and what kind of urban density we need to develop, and what kind of spaces, public spaces we need to generate for the people. This is all about the special structure. Now we will try to understand the transportation supply. Transportation supply is actually the capacity of the specific transportation, as we mentioned in the previous session, that in supply we will only try to understand two concepts. The one is infrastructure, while the second one is the operation. In infrastructure is actually the specific transportation infrastructure in modes which we build over a period of a time for the purpose to facilitate or provide the services according to the generating demand. By who? By the stakeholder, by the inhabitants, by the traveler. Transportation demand is basically the mobility need for some time of the period. Okay, that how is a transportation in urban planner we can fulfill the demand of the people while generating the type of a services. And the next part is the transportation demand management. How the special structure in transportation supply is interacting with the marketing, with the information, with the consultation services, as well as with the external cost, as well as the external factor. So when we bring all of them together, so this is the process through which we plan for the accessibility and mobility. And our vision is that how we can build the sustainable land use transportation system within any specific city, region, or at the province level. Okay? If we try to understand that what kind of actually fields are integrated here, as you can see here, so we have the integration of the professional people, profession integration, spatial integration, temporal, organization, methodological, and political. So it's not something which is a single way system. It's a combination of the processes in these systems. As you can see here, what does it mean by profession integration? That doesn't mean that we will only provide the service to the working class, to the student, to the old age. No, we will provide it according to the living spaces, according to the working category, according to the different type of a shopping, as well as the different type of a leisure activities. We should also facilitate those people who have the NMT prioritize NMT type of a mentality, for example, who prefer to walk, either to go by cycle for the shorter distance. Then we need to see that how we can bring the balance between the private spaces as well as the public spaces. How it will work. Private spaces and public spaces. For example, if this is my house, okay, here is my house. This is my open green space and here is a rope. Okay, I'm just trying to explain that specific factor, that how we can bring a balance through special integration between private spaces as well as the public spaces. For example, if this is my open space, I don't want the interference of anyone who can tell me how I should build that spot. Okay, I can build it the way I want. But if the municipality administration, the planners, they have put a strict rule that that open space will have a certain parameters. For example, there will be no concrete shed. There will be no kind of a closed barrier. You are only bound to either build that spot in the green spot or create the recreational place, not only for yourself but for the other as well. Again, you have the liberty that you, if you don't want to allow anyone, do not allow it. But at least that place should be not confined, but that should be recreational space. So which will be a series of a green space. For example, if this is a house, so the same rule will be applied on everyone. So here we will have the balance between private spaces and public spaces. And now we have the second concept. What if we completely shift the pattern from the public car and plan it for the people? We design the city in a way where we push everyone to use public transportation, either go for a shorter trip through the NMT, non-motorized transport, so that we can bring the balance between those two factors. And then we have the temporal as well. As I mentioned before, temporal means time based. So where we everyone counts seconds, minutes, time, and so on, because we are trying to facilitate every individual. And then at the organizational structure. So just to understand, the integrated land use and transportation planning is a field which aims to improve the livability, the life in that specific city or in the town, by reducing the need of the individual car, your personal car, and so on, and trying to convert the shift or the paradigm by using your own personal car to use it the public transportation. Or for example, in France, On every Saturday and Sunday, everyone is bound not to use a car. So now what they are doing, they are changing that shift. One day is like, for example, in the next week, it will be Monday. In the next week, it will be Tuesday. In the next one, it will be Wednesday. So now, through those small strategies, they are pushing the people. But that doesn't mean that in the whole France city, maybe for like 2 kilometers, for like 3 kilometers, where people have that ability to understand that concept. Now, one of my professor, his name is Benjamin Butner. You can even search him as well, Benjamin Butner at TUM. So now he wrote one book. It's still in German, but they are translating it to the English as well. It's called "How the 15-minute travel guide in the city." That how you can access to every place within 15 minutes of the walking. So this is the concept of the planning. Okay. So in the context to understand the increasing flow of the people, goods, and information, so the roles of the metropolitan regions, cities, major urban area is actually growing. More networks are actually building. A lot of vehicles are actually adding it to the overall city uh, car ownership. It also increased the concentration of the human activity in the metropolitan areas as well, which actually bring us towards the transformative and complicated pattern as well. So as you can see here, we have four basic level of the planning. The first one is strategic, the second one is local, and the third one is neighborhood. What does it mean? That means that we need to follow the pattern, the paradigm, that how we can start from the lower end, from here. That neighborhood means within individual village, within individual small city, and then local level means province level, and then this is the state level. As you can see here, for example, what kind of aspects we can bring on the different scales or the at the different level. Number one, if at the state level we have create a one urban planning and land use facility or like a vision at the state level, that every place location with respect to existing towns, cities, and infrastructure will have those certain regulations, guidelines, framework, etc. And similarly, what kind of structure, for example, if the state have decided in like Shanghai, which is called the skyscraper cities, they have like so many multi-rise, high-rise building. For example, if they decided that we have enough places, we will now follow the Berlin model, where we will not allow any structure to go beyond 5 story or 7 story. So this is the structure kind of a integrated one concept at the state level. And the same is at the land use level, and the same we can come up with the land use mix strategy, where we are trying to build all the urbanistic functions within less than 1 kilometer area. What kind of density population we do have and how we can plan that. So we can start from the rural areas, from the villages, from the cities, and then go on at the province level and then of course at the state level. But it doesn't mean that we cannot do it. Of course we can do it, but if there is an intention. As I mentioned before, that I will give you one example that how from a single lane different facilities could be used. So this was, I wish if I can bring the old picture. Uh, this is from the Austria. Before they had that specific lane was completely for like not for the public transport, but completely for the motorized cars. So now what they did, they completely separated that spot for the pedestrian, and that spot is the tram spot. Still, you can see here construction is in progress, and also the local car will also use the same lane as well. So transit oriented is the concept. is the development, is the kind of a strategy which integrate or bring together the commercial as well as the residential and connect it with the public transportation. So what they are doing through TODs, we are trying to design and bring the people, their activities, their building, their public spaces, their every urban function, if we can cover it through walking, through cycling, or through public transportation. Okay, and also of course through transit or through TUD, we can also reduce the carbon footprint as well. Okay, and make those cities more livable, and of course the kind of a living standard will also be improved. So this is was just one concept which I want to bring it. As you can see here, this is just one theory, ABC location, I just call that. You can see here that this is the level of the ground, which we call LOS or LOG. Behind or below that level, now we are building the all the transit and paratransit facilities. Like as I mentioned before that in Germany in 2011, it was up to fourth to sixth underground story. Beijing and Shanghai already reached to 17 underground story. And different cities have different now kind of a demarcation for their own principle. But what they do on the surface, you will see a city center, you will see all those urbanistic functions, you will see the administration building, you will also see the skyline which attract people. But all those facilities, while bringing or building it above the surface, so now different countries have changed their perception in order to utilize the land properly. So now they are going towards the underground concept. What kind of agglomeration policy in transportation planning we actually required, or what is basically action, or which is we call that here is you can see here actions. What is action basically? The action is more like a commitment where we are trying to bring the rules and regulation for the transportation and land use through which we can build the policy for the land use, the policy for the transportation, the policy for the development, for the purpose that how, for example, if the state is financially supporting everything, so those policies should be according to that agglomeration part, which can connect and which can bring all the concepts together. How, for example, it should support the schemes and also promote the innovative and collaborative project within that agglomeration part. For example, if this is your finances part, if it should be connected it in it, boundaries should be somehow lies in the zone 1, zone 2 should be connected here, and this is zone 3. So now you can uh, take the example that those are the land use pattern or the kind of places. Okay, here zone 1, zone 2, and this is our zone 3. Okay, but what we did, we actually merge all those zones at a one center place. For example, of course, education, health facilities, all those are the common facility for every residential block. By spending more land, by spending more money on that, why not we should bring the three towns together and build a same one unique place? For example, for the education, for the hospitals, for the administration, for the production units, for the packaging and processing part, dairy milk products, etc., which could be possible at a one common facility for all the three zones together. So this is basically the agglomeration and transportation planning facility, that how we can bring different concepts together. So it's possible if there is an intention. For example, take another example. if that block have a total population of 500 people, and here we have 200, and here we have 700. Do we really need to build individual hospital here? Do we really need to build individual supermarket here? Do we really need to build the individual education here? In the same kind of facilities here and here as well. Why not to bring all those people together to that central part which connect those three areas together? So what kind of requirements we actually need? There should be a participation among those three planners. So now what we did, we just said before here we say that we should start from neighborhood. So now we are again trying to start from that part. This is now our neighborhood, and we are trying to participation of all those three planners together. Number one, to coordinate one single body so that they can interact with each other. They can make decision at the same place, at the same table. Because for the purpose here, this is our state vision. We need to fulfill that part. And state have strategically, it have already give me all the guidelines. And now we are working here at the neighborhood level here. This is our place, okay? I hope. And the third part is that how we can actually assess, analyze, formulate, and provide the solution to the situation. And then how we can bring spatial, temporal, integrated uh, land use policies together. Okay, because we are not trying to build individual system for the individual small towns, but we are trying to build a one complete system, not complex, complete, integrated, sustainable system which could fulfill the desire, the requirement of the inhabitants. And then, of course, what will be its impacts, how the cost could be utilized. Again, I will just give you one another example. Our main intention in public transportation is what? That how we can reduce the empty spaces. If I'm running one system, one service from A to B, and the total distance is, for example, 10 kilometers, okay? But and I have zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. But in each zone, I'm getting only 10 people in every 20 minutes. Is it viable if I run a service after every 20 minutes only for like 10 people? No. Why not to bring all those 10 plus 10 plus 10, 30 people and then run a single service? Is it possible? Of course, it's possible through transit-oriented development. The first thing we did at the local level, at the neighborhood level, if Mr. X is living anywhere, why not to facilitate him in a way if he can complete all his activities within 1 kilometer? He will not travel, number one. Second thing is, if I'm again traveling, why I'm still selecting and choosing my own personal car? Why the transportation planner don't have that capacity to attract me and take away my car, not by force, but through their strategic planning. And if they can attract me, there is a very famous German model. It's called push, pull, and improve. It's very amazing that how we can push the people where and pull it towards the public transport. But if I'm not willing to, why? Because your system have that fault, that fault, that fault. If I can improve it, will you be able to? Of course. So this is how we can meet the basic requirement. Okay. Every session is connected actually. If you just put just the broader idea. Okay. Now effectiveness criteria and weightage is very much important. The first thing is improve quality of transportation. How? Public transportation travel times, quality, if we can reduce the number of the signals, if we can reduce number of the jams, if we can increase accessibility, if we can connect the same journey through intermodality, if we can improve the quality of the travel within public transport and outside of the public transport as well. If there is no public, uh, the pedestrian track is available, why should not develop it? Number one. Second point, promote urban regeneration. We have built something, but now we want to make the kind of a model shift. For that model shift, it is very important that we should focus on the urban point, such as quality of life and also impact of the public transportation so that we can regenerate. For example, before we did it, planning for people, planning for car, now we are focusing on the planning for people. And the next part is increase traffic safety. Okay, frequency of the accident, number of the injured people, uh, property damage, infrastructure damage, collateral damage, and so on. If we can make it more efficient and more safe for the people, of course they will choose it. The fourth one is the how we can reduce the environmental resources. Of course, mobility, every mobility needs emission, it needs fuel. What if, for example, there is a very famous one figure, which is somehow, I will, if I can illustrate it like that, there is a single bus standing, and here we have like 40 people, and here we have almost 20 cars, and 40 people are standing. So you can imagine its emission level and you can imagine its emission level. So it's possible. And then in the last, very important, investment in operating cost. Because the system should be financially viable. There is no such thing as a financial independency. If the system is not financially viable, so we might have the operation issue as well in the future. This is the today the conclusion of the today session. I would call it, it's not a new idea, it's not something new post, but how we can bring the integrating of the land use transportation planning through placemaking. For example, compact, connect, densify, transit, shift, max, cycle, walk. So a key issue for sustainable development is to create, analyze, and assess the relation between transportation and land use. So in most of the world, the same kind of a pattern is quite viable, and it's actually highly what you can call that attracted as well or affected as well by the different land use pattern as well. Particularly how those people choose the location, the land use patterns, particularly how people choose to locate their homes and even businesses, how they use different activities. For example, how they prefer to connect with like that part. What kind of shift do they have? Like for example, no cars. Will you be able to choose your home at that place? Or for example, if we have the single lane for the car and it's completely pedestrian tracks, cycle base, and if there is no car allowed it, can we provided the quality type of a bus transportation system? So this is the today conclusion of the today's session. And now just let me try to connect it with one of the important study which we had before, uh, that was designed for the Beijing. It was a kind of a paid project where we were hired by the Beijing municipality. Just let me show you that what we did there. It's called downsizing strategy for car, Beijing for people, not for car. Okay. Um, yeah. Downsizing strategy for car, Beijing for the people, not for car. And here it was published in the Periodic of Polytechnic Transportation, Hungarian journal. So you can find it. Just let me give you one brief idea, then you can understand that how we can actually bring those regional temporal planning and land use pattern at the any level. But of course, we need to start from the very basic root, okay? And of course, it will take time. But it's important that your planner should be uh, qualified, should be their capacity should be built in a way where they can push and come up with such type of a creative steps. So, like the first thing you need to understand, the right to access every building in the city by the private car is actually the right to destroy the city, number one. The second thought is that if you want to assess any nation that how much mature they are, do not go for that. Do they have McLaren or like Ferrari or like Lamborghini? No, but see that if the rich and elite class is using the local public transportation system. So that's how you can imagine that how much mature they are. Okay, just let me give you one example here. So this was the planning before, where we had five lanes in like each direction. And this, what we did, we have come up with the smart planning, which we call block concept. And here we have shifted our pattern towards the people. So the people are or the top priority. And here you can see here, the 5 lane is converted into only 2 lanes for car, 1 lane dedicatedly, which is grid separated from the car for the public transportation. And we have increased the green regeneration as well. This is only just the 3D example. You can imagine that how the situation were before and what we have proposed. But keep in mind one thing. Whenever you are planning for something and we are planning for the transit oriented development. In the transit oriented development, it's important that you should have idea that where your public transportation is actually located, what kind of sports facility you have provided, where is your parking car, because if you are not allowing my car, if I can travel with my personal car to my personal home, so where I can park my car. The third one is where the school and cultural places are located, where those offices are actually located. Here you can see, okay, so everything you should plan before. Thank you very much. If you have any question, you can ask now or maybe later on. Okay.